And good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Magazine for this December 4th, 2019. I have your host, James J. Maloff here. And right now we are joined by Randy Dorhorst, Chief Deputy Quentin Ellis, and we will be joined in a little bit by Sheriff Becker, all from our Wood County Sheriff's Department. And good morning, gentlemen. Thanks a lot for being in with us.
Thanks for having us.
Real quickly, I also want to say thank you to Wisconsin Rapids Community Media for being with us. We always appreciate them joining us. So we'll get right into things here. I wanted to talk acting with you guys because I figured you guys are the good sort. No, we'll get into some more other things here. But first up, how was your holidays for you, sir? Mr. Doris, how was your holiday?
Oh, went real well.
Yeah.
It's always too short. But it went real well.
Good to hear. Good to hear. And how was it for you, Quentin?
Real good. Good time spent with family and, quiet times for the most part on the road with work. So it was a good reset. It's fun this time of year to kind of, take a step back, see what you have going on outside our careers, because cops tend to dive wholeheartedly into their careers. It's good to step back and reflect and see your families.
We've got a number of things that we're going to get into here, but just to touch on that for a second, because I have found in doing this job, and it's something that I talk with Carl a lot about too, is that in this day and age, we're getting a little bit too comfortable with the keyboard coward thing, the kind of calling out our officials or anything like that, or some of our other people that work hard for us, and not treating them as human beings. And so just to kind of touch on that a little bit, what you were saying there with the holidays, you guys don't, I know you clock in and out technically, but you don't really have off time. You're pretty much 24/7. You guys are ready to go. And what is it like to be sitting back, you're trying to enjoy your family, trying to enjoy a nice Thanksgiving or something like that, but in the back of your mind, you've got to be on the ready, I imagine.
In different levels and different capacities, I guess. Throughout our careers, we've held a number of different positions between Randy and I, all the way from starting as part-time police officers all the way up through administrators that we are now. And so that mental ready, if you will, changes, I think, per position, where some of the patrol staff, if you will, or people that do have a little more set schedule, if they're scheduled off during that time, it's probably at a lower ready, but we never really turn it off.
Yeah.
Now, for Randy or Shawn or I, we're generally, you have the whole department that you're worried about. So we don't necessarily ever get to turn it off, but it's not like, oh, I'm working because especially at our department, we're real in tune to our staff and the people we work with. So it's really just an extension of family.
Yeah.
In many instances, I would say there's members of the department that I'm closer with, or obviously have more regular contact than my extended personal family.
Right. Yeah.
Cousins I may not have seen in forever, but I know, Deputy so-and-so has this going on in their life this time. And that's a focus that we've really made since Shawn's taken over as sheriff, is really being in tune to our staff and what's going on with them as well.
And that sounds like something that that's an intentional thing, that being able to trust certainly we all want to be able to trust our coworkers and everything like that, but in a level of a job where you guys are at, it's almost a vital, it's almost a must. So I imagine that when you are sitting back with your family and everything, in the back of your mind, you're on the ready, but you're a little bit more calm because you trust your your fellow coworkers and everything.
Oh, absolutely. I know they have things taken care of, and they're only going to need to call me if it's something really crazy or really bad. And it makes you appreciate it too, because unfortunately throughout our careers, we do see the worst times people are having. And sometimes that happens around the holidays, or you see families that are really struggling, whether it be with domestic violence or alcoholism or drug abuse, or maybe just a tough time. You're seeing people at their worst. So it makes you appreciate when you're at home in your element and things are going as they should, just a little more.
To touch on that for a second, a friend of our family growing up was a part of the Chicago Police Department and was a detective there. And one of the things that he used to talk about, certainly around this time of year, was how important balance was in life, and that he would, like you said there, he saw people on the worst day of their lives mostly, and not taking that home with him. He didn't want to take it home with him. It was a very big deal to him. Do you find that, especially where you guys are at in your career, you've gotten a better handle of that? And is there any kind of suggestion you can give to, or advice you can give to people out there that are, getting new into this industry and are going to have to learn to balance that, to not take their work home with them, if you will?
As a profession, law enforcement has gotten significantly better at taking care of our own, if you will.
Sure.
And I don't mean that in the blue line or us them
Yeah.
mentality, but it's taken tragedy to get there. A lot of law enforcement officers, the suicide rate is high in the profession, ranked among others, and it's opened people's eyes.
Yeah.
There's trainings available now. The sheriff's department has a chaplain program that can help our staff, peer support programs, critical incident stress management, and debrief teams. So there's a lot more resources available to officers that are starting now than had been previously. Before it was you put on a tough face, you put on the uniform,
Right.
you're a macho guy or gal, and this just doesn't bother you. Get over it. But now the profession has seen that doesn't work, and we have damaged people as a result of it. So those resources are out there. And to your question is what I would recommend for new officers is remember this is a profession, but we need to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of others. If stuff's bothering you, you got to have that close circuit of friends, whether it be friends, a professional, a pastor, a minister, your wife, whoever, that you can kind of get some of these things off your chest, because what we do and see isn't normal.
Yeah. And it's not something that you can have all the greatest training in the world, but there's certain things that you just can't be trained for, and how you handle these kind of things is one of them. Randy, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I just you're exactly right. When we go to a call, we're always seeing, for the most part, we're always seeing people at their worst times, their misfortunes, things are happening, and that's all you go there all night and to every call or every day, whatever shift you work, and that's all you see is those type of things. You got to separate yourself from that. I mean, there are some real good programs are putting out there now for law enforcement to help them through that.
It's one of those subjects that has come up before when we've had Sheriff Becker on with us, and we're going to bring him on with us right now. Good morning to you, Sheriff.
Good morning, James. Pleasure to have the opportunity to call in, and I was just listening to the conversation that we talked about before, and I'm at a training conference down the Dells with all the Badger sheriffs within our state, and it's the officer wellness piece. We just got done with a training session on that, and just how important it is, not only locally in our state but in the country. We've got somebody that came in from California, a police chief, and just discussing how important officer wellness is throughout law enforcement and first responders. It's something that probably went ignored for several years, and now it's on the forefront that we need to continue that movement for our staff, for our people, not just the deputies and law enforcement officers on the streets responding to calls of service that can be graphic and hard to deal with, but our corrections staff, our dispatchers. I mean, it branches out to so many other people that take care of us in the community. So it's a big thing, and our department is made that very important to move forward on, because if we lose one staff member to a suicide or they just end their career early, that's on us as administrators. We should have been involved trying to help somebody out, know the warning signs when somebody's struggling from either something at home or something that they've been seeing at work, or they saw just one incident that really bothered them, and we didn't take care of it. And we've been, like I said, that's a very, very important topic, and thank you, James, for discussing it with Randy and Quentin. It's really something that you'll see our department continue to focus on.
Well,
but I did want to. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, I wanted to call in and and talk about Carl. Carl Hilke. Our community, WFHR, lost just an icon in our community, and he's going to be missed. Going back and Randy and Quentin and many other members that the sheriff's department can say, when our previous sheriff, Tom Reichert, would surprise us and say, hey, come on to the radio show with us. We'd be like, what? and really, really nervous about it. But I'll tell you what, when you sit down with Carl, and he made you feel very comfortable being on the radio and just talking about, things in the community or the department. And, it's a tradition that Tom started that obviously the sheriff's department is going to continue. I just wanted to offer up the condolences to the WFHR family and our community. Carl's a great man. He's going to be missed. I know he was just any type of a community event, he'd latch on to it and talk about it, whether it's something to do with the sheriff's department, like the polar plunge, or something that was involved with the aqua skiers. He just would latch onto it and would be so positive promoting that event and our community, the Wisconsin Rapids area. He's gonna be missed. And I just wanted to make sure that I had the opportunity to call in and really talk about Carl, and kind of go from there.
Really appreciate that, sir, and very well said. I agree with every bit of that, especially I think that the word icon can get overused, but not when it comes to Carl, not when it comes to this situation. And anybody who was interacted with Carl or heard him on the radio or something knows that when we say that, it's backed up. One of the things that I thought was so beautiful about I was at his wake and was standing in line, and you were about 4 or 5 people ahead of me, and about 2, right next to me was the owner of the Awards and More, and then right behind him was Senator Teston. And I thought it was just so interesting. And you look around the room, and all these different people from all different walks of life and different parts of our community and everything, and we're all in the same feeling. We're all on the same page. We're all feeling the same thing here. So what you said there about the community can't be taken lightly. It's something that Pam and I have noticed a lot, that as much as we're feeling this, the whole community is. And so I think that that's one of those things that we can all bond over. We can all, lean on each other about. And we're all feeling similar things. Nobody more than that beautiful soul out there, Pam. But, as individuals, we're all feeling something. So we can lean on each other. We can get through this together. And maybe most importantly, and I've got his voice in the back of my head making sure I say this, that we keep up doing what meant something to him. And you, again, hit on it perfectly. If there was something going on in this community, you could probably count on Carl being there and showing up and promoting it, making sure that the information got out to the masses. And that's part of what we do. And it's maybe not a great segue, but which again, I can hear him in the back of my head making fun of me about. But what it's when we talk about getting information out there and subjects out there, it's part of the reason why I brought up how you guys do when you're dealing with some of the issues that you deal with on the job. It's a topic that normally we. Quentin and I, our generation is kind of the last generation of being raised by the Steve McQueens, the strong, silent type. More and more got to, as we were getting older and going through junior high and high school and all that, mental awareness came a little bit more and more in the forefront to where we are now, where it isn't, we bring it up and it's all of a sudden not a gray area anymore. We're getting a little more defined about what it means. So I'm really proud of the department for being so on point when it comes to this, but it couldn't have been easy kind of making that transition to start getting into, hey, we need to start focusing on mental health. We need to start looking into these things. Was it something that you had to work really hard to make happen? Did you had to kind of bend a lot of arms to do this, or did you have some cooperation when you were first kind of bringing this topic up?
It really all started with, and we talked about them before with, Deputy Doug Christensen, and working with or against at the time, our crisis intervention staff. And then that became an opportunity for us to invest in our deputies to get them into the CIT training that now we've had 6 classes that we've put, local deputies and officers through. That was kind of that breaking point that we as a staff realized we're onto something, and we needed to change our culture and really start focusing on mental health. And what you're going to continue to see, not just with our law enforcement officers, but the rest of our staff, especially our corrections staff, where if you want to look at mental health concerns and issues, you look at the inmates in our facility. That's going to be a big focus as we continue to move our department forward. Is the mental health of the concerns and issues that the inmates have, and how can we address them while they're in custody. I think that, as I said it before, I look at that as an opportunity to give some people that have made mistakes in our community, and they're doing their time. And while we have them, what can we do to help them out? So when they do get out, they can be, successful, provide for their families, and not come back. That recidivism rate you hear all the time is high. It's not high just in Wood County, but it's high all over the place. Now, how can we work on that? And that's through inmate programming, and that's that's what we're doing. We've established some partnerships with mid-state technical colleges now coming in to work with inmates. The recovery programs, the smart recovery that we've established that we'll talk about on another show, where we have cell blocks now where individuals are concentrating on the recovery and working with Three Bridges, counseling. So those are things that we're going to keep moving forward. But it really that breaking point was a few years ago with one deputy coming in and making us as administrators aware of, hey, we've got an issue here that needs to be addressed, and how are we going to do it? And then working with crisis with, all right, what are some thoughts and ideas and moving forward with, the deputies that are struggling with handling, mental health calls to service? What are we going to do? And then, bringing up Katie Says, who oversees our crisis and human services. She's a law enforcement officer, and she brought the idea of CIT. Hey, this is what you should be, looking at training your officers, and that really started. So, years ago, it was evolving. Now, fortunately, with the change with our administration and me having the opportunity to be sheriff, we can continue to move this forward and really focus not just on the deputies, but the correction staff, inmates, and moving forward from there.
And it's really groundbreaking work, and it's work that's not only going to, as you touched on there, help inmates, but in hopefully, slow down the whole revolving door thing with inmates, and but also the deputies and the officers that are involved in these programs and get help if they need it and everything. So it's a really groundbreaking program, and it's also important too because too much in life or in society, we are playing defense when we need to be playing offense. And in something like this, certainly you touched on some issues there that have come up and everything, but you're kind of getting ahead of this before it becomes too big of a problem. And kind of leading into that is the courthouse situation with the new security system and everything. Thankfully, doing something like that before we have a horrible tragedy or something there, and then we want to bring in the security system and stuff. And we've touched on that again about, playing offense, not defense. So, Quentin, I wanted to ask you how it's kind of going over there at the courthouse.
It's going really well. Initially, again, this was something new to the area, and people hate change generally, cops especially.
Sure.
But we adapt, and luckily, like you said, James, it's refreshing to hear your point of view of like, hey, let's play offense. Let's get something in place before there's a problem, because that's not always an easy sell.
No.
Because to implement something like this did take a bit of planning and a bit of money that had been pushed down the road for 20 plus years. They'd talked about, I think Judge Potter had said they had meetings for 20 years dating back. But we were finally able to get it up and running. We have the equipment and the screening equipment in place. We're fully staffed now with Lieutenant overseeing the operations, Lieutenant Peterson, 2 full-time deputies, and we're finding we're needing to use our part-time officers quite a bit down there as well. I just heard positive feedback yesterday from one of the judges that it's just been great. The screening, keeping things out of the courthouse, having uniform presence in the courthouse. They like it as it can serve as a deterrent too. A number of times before, due to staffing and not having this in place, a judge would order somebody to go down to the jail and their attorney would walk them down. Well, now we have a uniformed officer there taking the person into custody, escorting them to the jail. It not only serves as a specific deterrent to that person, like, oh, geez, I just got hauled away by the cops, not walked down, but to all the other people in that courtroom or maybe in the courthouse. We've heard a lot of positive feedback. Initially people were resistive to, it's going to take forever, I might be late. They're finding that there aren't too many bottlenecks, so people aren't experiencing those. It's a bit inconvenient at times, but the number of knives, even guns, pepper spray, and other items that have been kept out of the courthouse in the first couple months is alarming. It makes you think, wow, all these years, a number of these things have been going on and just probably walking right next to me in the hallway in the courthouse. There have been some people resistive. Some people don't want to give up, say, a pocket knife that they've always carried. But we got to be consistent to keep our courthouse clear of weapons and potential dangers. And I'm glad we have it in place. Like you said, you don't want to be too late on something like this.
My papa used to always say you could sell the cure for cancer for $1, and there'd be people who complain that you're overcharging.
Right.
There's always going to be somebody who has a problem with something or whatever. I appreciate
Right.
you sharing the point or mentioning the items that you've come across since doing this and everything. And Sheriff Becker brought this up before too, because I think to a lot of us that's pretty alarming. I think we're all pretty understanding
Oh,
that
just
overall people
yeah.
don't always have common sense.
Sure.
You guys probably know that better than anybody.
Just the firearms that have come in is astonishing to me. I mean, these are people that were bringing them in, and they had their concealed carry permits, but you still couldn't bring that, a firearm into the courthouse. And that just tells me, I think we're up to 5 now since we started. How many times before we implemented security, the county implementing security, firearms have gotten into the building?
Yeah.
It just tells me that, wow, it just kind of blew my mind. That how many times has this probably happened that we never knew it happened? And you brought it up perfectly, James, by saying, were we living on borrowed time? I believe we were, because you know how volatile a courthouse is with, not only the criminal proceedings going on, but just civil, issues that people aren't getting along with, whether it's in small claims or, a divorce, something, all those lines. People aren't real happy coming up, especially up on 3rd floor. And then you've got all the other departments within, the courthouse as well, the register of deeds, human resources. Something could happen. And fortunately, it never did. And again, I really commend our county board of, taking a look at this very strongly and working with us to get this implemented.
It's one of those things where I've asked around, just doing a little homework for the interviews here, and kind of asking people, have they gone to the courthouse? How has their experience been and everything? And I haven't heard any complaints. I haven't heard anybody say anything about really negative about it. But there are people out there, like you touched on, Quentin, that, push against it a little bit and everything. So that's why I think it's so important to bring up these items that you guys have come across, and, part of what we could be dealing with, and especially the fact of how long that kind of thing has been going on, and that we've gotten lucky to skate by and not have any incidents. And maybe hopefully as the last part of this, maybe as a reminder to some common sense to some people. Like I cannot rationalize my brain, even if you've got a concealed carry, you've got the gun on safety, all that stuff. What is going through your mind going into a courthouse with a gun? That just doesn't make it. Unless you have a badge on you, you should not be doing it. I remember when I first was flying, and it was right after 9/11, and again, people were complaining, didn't want to wait in line, all these things. There was a person 2 people ahead of me that had a machete in their bag. They were trying to fly with a machete. I mean, just what goes through? But again, common sense is not that common, so it's all the more important why we bring this up and why we have this instilled at the courthouse and everything. And it's good to hear things are going smoothly. And a big tip of the hat to everybody over there working hard to keep it going that way.
And a comment on
Thank
that,
you.
I taught carry conceal classes for a number of years. I'm a firearms instructor. And I started the class and ended the class always, if you have to kick a gun to go there, maybe you shouldn't go there. It's something to think about.
That's a great line. That's so true. Yeah, that's a very, very well said. We are speaking, that voice you heard right there, Randy Dorhorst, Chief Deputy. We have Quentin Ellis with us as well, and Sheriff Becker on the phone. We're going to take a really quick commercial break, and we'll come back with more right here on Morning Magazine, AM 1320, WFHR.
It's time for part 2.
And welcome back to Morning Magazine for this December 4th, 2019. We are joined by Chief Deputy Randy Dorhorst. We have Quentin Ellis with us and Sheriff Becker on the phone from our Wood County Sheriff's Department. Again, good morning to all of you, and thank you for joining us. And a big thank you to Wisconsin Rapids Community Media for always being with us as well on Wednesdays. Sheriff Becker, I wanted to ask you how your golf scores are going out there, because you're not really on a training session, right? I mean, it's just between the 3 of us. You can be honest.
Oh, just between the 3 of us. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Nobody else will hear this.
I'm attending classes.
Yeah, how is that going? Oh, please
really
go
good.
ahead.
Really good. The Badger Sheriff's Association meets 4 times a year, and it's really a great opportunity to network with all the other sheriffs and their staff. This particular training session had a lot of stuff to do with, like I'd already mentioned, officer wellness, and extending that, to our correction staff too. So we have one of our lieutenants, Melissa Sager. She's down here too, attending the courses as well, because a lot of what we'll bring back, we can implement with our correction staff as well. So, it's a great networking opportunity, and the Badger Sheriff's Association takes a look at what the needs are within our state, for training, opportunities and training needs for, law enforcement officers and corrections officers and dispatchers. So I know Randy's gone to a few of the trainings before this year, and so is our captain on the jail, Ted Ashbeck, too, because a lot of this stuff talks about, our jails and like I said, the networking opportunities that you get, talking about, concerns or issues or things going on, throughout the state with other sheriff's departments. We have a tabletop session that, each sheriff gets an opportunity to talk and to say, hey, what's going on? It's been interesting to hear how many counties have built new jails or are in the same concern or issue as we are here in Wood County. With a facility that was built in the 80s, we've outgrown it. We house inmates out of county, up to 100 of them. Those costs, and it's not an exclusive issue or problem to Wood County that we're facing. Our county board is going to have a decision to make next year. But it's going on, throughout our state. And there's some, sheriff's departments that have built a new facility, and what those costs are and what direction they've gone. So it's a great opportunity, these kind of trainings. I'm glad that you get, as a staff, not just me, but our staff gets the opportunity to come to trainings as well.
Well, when it comes to something like this too, I imagine that for your guys' job, it's one of those things where I could try as much as I want to relate or to understand what you're going through. I'm never going to be able to know what it's like to put on that badge and do that kind of thing. So to have other people, peers, to be able to talk to and brainstorm with all those things, it's got to be priceless, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, we meet 4 times a year, and for our staff, it's not going to just be me going. It's going to be, whatever those training sessions are. We'll find them to get, other staff members to go as well. In fact, we're talking about maybe hosting one of the training sessions next year, which is going to be something that will be search and rescue based. So we're working with, some of the powers that be that organize the training, and we'll see if we can bring it to Wisconsin Rapids. Not 100% yet, but it's definitely a discussion. I hope we get the opportunity to host it because we can show off our city, to everybody else. And if you talk about search and rescue, we have a rescue unit. We have a lot of fire departments that work with our rescue unit. I really think we could put on a lot of, search and, talking about Project Lifesaver. So there's a good opportunity. I'm hoping that we can put it together, if not next year, but the year after. Now, before I head back to class, I wanted to end with, I know we just had Thanksgiving and the holiday seasons are upon us. And one thing that I want to make it really clear that I'm thankful for, it's our staff. We got great people that work at the Sheriff's Department that don't get recognized enough, from correction staff, our front office staff, investigators, our deputies, and our administrators. I'm very fortunate to have Quentin and Randy to work with. I know that they'll talk a little bit more about the busy year that we had and the things that we have been doing, the changes that we've been making. Quentin said it right. Change doesn't take, some people don't like change, but, our organization, we work together as a team, and I'm very, very thankful for them. Both Quentin and Randy are good friends of mine, but, work-wise, I couldn't ask for any other, 2 other administrators to work with. Randy did an outstanding job with the budget. Quentin's been doing an outstanding job with our promotion process, which we had a few of them this year. Also, hiring people. We've hired 4 deputies already. We're doing another process, and that was something that Quentin took over, after I started as sheriff. And the communities are really lucky to have the staff that we do, and I appreciate them more than they'll ever know. And then I'm also thankful, for the time that we had with Carl. Going back to just coming on the radio, being nervous, and he just had that thing about him that made you feel comfortable and made you feel that you could talk about anything on the radio. And I'm thankful for that time that I had with him personally.
Well said, as always. Sheriff Becker, really appreciate you joining us. I know you got to get back to class. We don't want you to have to stay after late and write on the wall. I will not be late for class 100 times. I'd feel really guilty if I did that to you. So if we don't get a chance to talk, have a great holiday to you and your family, and we'll talk again real soon.
Thank you. Same to you, James. You and the staff there. Again, thank you. You guys take care.
Appreciate it. You too. Again, we had Sheriff Becker there joining us on the phone. Appreciate him, but he's got to get back to class. We don't want to get him in trouble. What happens if he gets in trouble? I mean, that's a little. I would, if I was a teacher, I would not feel comfortable punishing him. I would not.
Right. Number one, he's a sheriff.
Yeah.
Number two, he's a big, imposing
He's a big
guy. Right.
yeah.
I mean, I don't want to go there either. So
No, it's like, don't do it again. Like that's
Right.
all you can do. Is like, don't do it again.
yeah,
That's all
could
you
you
can say.
please maybe come back to class? I don't know.
Sure.
But
We were talking about kind of common sense a little bit earlier and everything, and so I know that this when we talk about road safety, we kind of repeat a lot of the things that we've heard our whole lives. But as we see every year on the roads, a lot of this stuff needs to be brought up again and again because it keeps happening.
Yes.
One of the things that I first think about is people following the snow plows way too close and that kind of thing. This is randomly things like that. So I thought before we got into kind of a bit of a year in review thing, we could just go over a little bit some of the things to keep in mind when you're on the roads throughout the winter.
It's the same thing, but it doesn't hurt to repeat. And that's one of our fond memories of Carl. He was like our department advocate for these types of things.
Yes.
If we didn't get it out, he got it out for us. But number one, slow down. Provide yourself more time. We live in Wisconsin. Snow should not be a surprise to us. But every first snow, we run to cars in the ditch. I can tell you that I don't leave as much time as I should getting the kids to school or whatever, and we know better. We live in Wisconsin. Slow down. If you don't have automatic lights, or if you do on your car, make sure they're on in adverse weather so people can see you. Make sure your car is winterized. Make sure the air pressures are up and your equipment's working like it should. Don't follow the snow plows too closely. I think there's a statutorily limit of feet, and it's like no less than 200 if they're going 35 miles an hour, or don't quote me on that, but it's in the statute. Give the highway guys room to work. If they're plowing in front of you, do you really need to get past them? They're making the road better for you.
Yeah.
We also get complaints of people plowing snow across roadways. You can't do that by statute because it could leave deposits on the roadway that could be dangerous for others.
Considered a hazardous substance.
Yeah.
And remember, just because you have four-wheel drive does not mean you have four-wheel braking. So people will get going, oh, I've got a four-wheel drive truck, and they'll be flying, and, well, they can't quite stop. You aren't always sure of the road conditions. They might look good. There can be, black ice, things like that. The biggest thing, like you said, James, is it's common sense. We've all lived in Wisconsin. Now, I'll have to refresh how I instruct this. I have a new driver in my house as of yesterday. So going into winter to remind them to slow down, be aware of your surroundings, give that extra time. If it normally takes you 10 minutes to get to work and you're scrambling, make it 20 on that first day of snowfall.
Because it might be an hour
Yes.
if you don't. So.
Yeah.
Be visible. Pack a winter pack in your trunk or in the back of the car just in case you get stuck. People, they say have, some kitty litter in case you get stuck for traction, an extra jacket and gloves, a starter pack or jumper cables, things along those lines to make sure that you don't get stranded.
Just certain things to keep in mind. It never hurts to review them, so I appreciate kind of going over them a little bit and everything. Randy, did you want to add anything to do with that?
No, I think you
Kind of covered it pretty good.
As I was thinking of things, it was coming out. So
Same here. Yeah, same here.
Randy's an excellent writer. He's proclaimed himself our department's best writer, but he doesn't like the spotlight, so he tries to sit back and.
I understand how that goes. I know what you mean by that.
Inside joke. He's actually slamming.
When it comes to this past year, it's been a busy year. There's been a lot that's gone on. Where do you want to start with kind of going over like a bit of a year review kind of thing with the office?
Well, it's been a year of transition, like Sheriff Becker had said, and it started with him being elected sheriff. That started just obviously last November, but with him taking office and a bunch of us assuming new roles and in a new direction. And like I joked, cops hate change. They don't. It's just it's something that we as a department started to look at as not doing things based only on tradition. A number of things or departments in law enforcement will do things because, quote, that's how we've always
We've
done
always
it.
done it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean it's the right way.
Right.
And so while we've been an administrative team together for almost 10 years between Shawn, Randy, and I, we started looking at things in a new light,
Mm-hmm.
different direction. We streamlined some things. We started with reorganizing or finishing a reorganization by combining two positions from a patrol captain and investigative captain into an operations captain. I assumed that role, and from there it was filling the gaps. So we promoted an investigative lieutenant. We promoted a patrol lieutenant. I mean, we had, I think, 14 promotions this year as we reinstituted the patrol sergeant position. We believe that's an integral part of the department for first line supervision. It had been previously eliminated. We had the new security services division in October. So that was a lieutenant promotion, and then staffing those. We've evaluated how we hire people, have an excellent working relationship with the Civil Service Commission to get our list and interviews completed that way. Between Sheriff Becker, Randy, and I, we've revamped a number of the promotional processes to something that's vetted and a little better reflection, I think, of getting the best candidate, and that seemed to work out well. All of this was relatively new for a bunch of us. It was a busy year with that. Having to hire 4 deputies doesn't happen much at our department because we don't lose people.
Mm-hmm.
This year, we did lose somebody to another agency, which hasn't happened in years. But this was a happy moment for us, as one of our own, Sergeant Scott Drew, that had been in charge of civil process for us, moved on to be the police chief of Port Edwards. So our hats off to him. We're always happy to see somebody improve themselves and move on to be another community leader. It feels like we're branching out that way. It's been busy. Randy and Shawn had to work closely with the Deputy Sheriff's Association to settle a labor contract. Randy put in hours upon hours getting our budget in order and using a new software to do so. And then the day-to-day operations of the department. We've had people out after an incident. One was shot and the other was on leave. That's been discussed at length in the past. We had a deputy break an ankle, another go out with shoulder surgery. All things that people kind of maybe don't realize happens, and you have a limited pool of people to kind of fill those holes. And the department has really rallied together, gotten through some tough times, gotten through working short, and we're set up well for 2020.
When it comes to the changes that you're talking about, a lot of the references you make, Nate, remind me of a football team getting a new coaching staff and GM. You've got players that are used to playing under a certain system and everything, and you've got a whole new system being brought in. So you're going to have some resistance. You're going to have some people that are excited and some people that are on game and everything. So when it comes to those early months of the transition here and where you are now, has things been going pretty smoothly?
They have. As Shawn had mentioned earlier, we have some phenomenal staff here at the Sheriff's Department. I really believe we have the best of the best out there, and they're all working together towards one goal. That makes things a lot easier when you see people buying into the direction you're going. They're willing to go that extra mile, not because they have to or they feel they have to, but because they want to.
And they believe in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a key part of it, I think, and one that almost gets undersold sometimes. But believing in something, it brings out a whole different drive in you and dedication in some ways.
If you want it to work, you got to own it.
Yeah, very true. So that's good to hear. That because when normally you hear about this kind of overhaul, it doesn't go over very smoothly, or it takes a lot longer than a half a year or a year to really come into place. I've heard nothing but positive things about it from the community. And it sounds like from behind the curtain for you guys, it's been going pretty smoothly too. So that's good to hear.
It seems to be. And what's tough with those, as I mentioned, we had 12 to, I think, 14 promotional processes. That's 12 to 14 people that are happy because they got that position.
Yeah.
But for each one, there's probably 3, 4, and sometimes 5 or 6 that are a little disappointed because they really wanted to step up too.
Yeah.
And historically, I've seen it, the department years and years ago, where if somebody didn't get that, they might be obviously disappointed, but take a different approach than the people we have at our staff here. They've embraced it. They've helped the next guy or gal up that got the promotion, and they thought, this wasn't my time. How can I get better? And they keep coming. We preach leadership and team and taking care of each other at our department, and it's really showing. Really from the top, from the sheriff all the way to the most recent people we're hiring. So we're still 2 positions short that we're trying to hire starting here in 2020, but we're definitely headed the right direction.
Yeah, we do have openings. I'd like to put that out there. We do have openings for part-time officers, which is either reserve deputy working in the park system, also our security services division. Then would be sworn positions, so they have a little bit more criteria you have to have. We also have part-time positions open in the jail for part-time corrections officers, and you don't necessarily have to have all the qualifications for the jail like you would on the part-time deputy. So if it's something occupational, you think you have the tools to do that, I would certainly apply, because we'll give you more tools to make you more qualified.
And how would they apply if they're interested?
Right now, it's off. You go to Wood County website, job openings. We got all our job openings listed there. It's quite easy. And if there's ever a question, you always feel free to call our front office, 421-8715. 421-8715.
One of the things that comes to mind when you talk about the promotions and different things like that, I feel like that's a really good sign for the department as well. Not only that you're able to advance certain people and everything, but you have a gentleman going over to another county and becoming the police chief and things like that. It's got to not only look good to us and as a state looking, spreading out a little bit and looking at a third perspective, but for you guys, it's got to feel pretty good too.
Oh, it was in that instance, it hurt,
yes, certainly, yes.
But it was like a proud dad moment.
Yeah,
I feel funny saying that. I've known Chief Drew for 20 plus years now, and certainly it's not like I'm that father figure to him.
Sure,
I'm not
but
saying
the
that at
feeling
all.
is there. That
Absolutely.
feeling is the similar.
It hurt to see him leave our quote unquote family, if you will, but you totally understood it. You're totally happy for him. Our department even threw a going away luncheon after he left for got settled in as a chief. He's doing well over there, so it's great for us to see. And in the meantime, a guy that I mentioned before had applied for promotion previously against now Chief Drew, stepped up. He helped with the civil process function even when he wasn't promoted to that spot, worked hard and earned the next promotion. Now he's a sergeant handling civil process, and he stepped up, and Sergeant Klum has done an excellent job getting
he excels
acclimated.
there. He definitely does.
So it's bittersweet, and you don't want to discredit anybody, but the department does, to use a sports analogy like you had earlier, it's next person up.
Yeah.
That person's phenomenal, and there's growing pains if they move on to take their leadership elsewhere, but we've got a department full of hungry people that are willing to step up and assume these leadership roles. And, I hope we hold on to them. It hurts to lose great people, but again, super happy for Chief Drew, proud of him. And it's like, seeing one of your own go and succeed and take a leadership role somewhere else. It's rewarding.
Sheriff Quentin Ellis right there. And earlier you heard Randy Dorhorst, Chief Deputy. We're speaking with them along with Wisconsin Rapids Community Media being in with us. We're going to take a very short break. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show here on Morning Magazine, AM 1320, WFHR. Again, we're in with Wisconsin Rapids Community Media filming for us. We have Randy Dorhorst and Sheriff Quentin Ellis in, and thank you both for being in with us again. So we've kind of gone over the year in review. What about looking ahead here a little bit? What is coming up for you guys with the department? I say that like you have a movie coming out or something.
Right.
So what movie? But how is it looking ahead here and everything?
Like we had alluded to, we're getting well set for 2020. Budget's in order to do the things we want to do. Capital improvement projects are set for 2020. Our staffing's almost where we need it to be, but the hiring process is in place. Jobs or the positions have been posted for full-time deputies. I'd like to also point out we are taking lateral applicants as well now. So if somebody with experience at another police department likes what we're doing and wants to come be a part of that, they don't have to start at low end, just entry-level wages or vacation accrual. They can bring some of that vacation time. It'll be accounted for, as will the wages. Wages have been adjusted to be very, very competitive with surrounding agencies, where that was a nice job that Shawn and Randy did working with the county board and human resource department to get that back in line. So it's a very inviting position. We have 2 of them open. And I know Randy wanted to touch base a little bit more on the reserve program or part-time program too, but we're hitting 2020 running. We'll be close to full staffed. Security services will be up and running. Our investigative positions are full. Patrol supervisory and leadership positions are full. We have great people just about to come off FTO field training, and we'll be ready to rock.
Yeah, it's a big year around here for a lot of reasons. Certainly with the Boys and Girls Club, facility opening up in the summer and in spring, March, eyeballed right now, and there's a number of other things that are going to be kind of in the area in 2020 that are going to kind of make this area, when you stretch out a little bit and you include like the Rome area and what's going on over there and stuff, the area only seems to be growing. And with that, how do you guys feel? Being prepared for that or getting ready for that, is that something that's kind of on the top of your mind a bit?
Um, yes and no.
Yeah,
My first focus is making sure that we have the staff in position and deployed correctly to best serve our community. And I believe our reorganization and reallocation of resources has done that. So yeah, I guess in the back of my mind, James, it is, oh boy, we have these things coming, because special event staffing is something that comes up routinely, whether it be, hey, we need traffic direction for a parade up in Auburndale this weekend, or the major, maybe the opening of the Boys and Girls Club, if we have a huge influx of people to helping out other agencies with their areas.
Recreational trails. It's like where we put our focus. I mean, our focus years back was on traffic. You take complaints and stop cars.
Yeah.
Well, no, we brought a lot more recreational stuff in the area. Our ATV trail that's gotten so large, we have an ATV patrol, boat patrol, all the recreational things that bring more people into our community. We have to be prepared to react to those as well.
Yeah.
And we got to be proactive versus reactive, not wait till we have a boating accident when we could have been out there beforehand,
right,
and been proactive. So, hey, we need to slow it down here. We better look out there. The boat patrol is going to be out here. We got to watch what we're doing. We got to wear life jackets, that type of stuff. There's a lot of things we can do by educating the community in this before we have to react to something that's happened.
One of the things when you guys talk about all the different places that you guys have to be and things that you are in charge of doing and that kind of thing. When I first started teaching, one of the first things that a teacher had me do to get prepared, I had to go into a kindergarten class and basically try to teach them acting, kindergartners. And there's like 20 kids in that class, and the teacher walked out of the room, and it's just me and these 20 kids. And I've had kids. I'm a dad and stuff. I figure I know myself. I lost control. They took over completely. It is an idea in a bigger respect of, there's only so many of you guys, and you are in charge of this whole county. You're in charge of so many different aspects of this county. It reminds me, and it reminds, I hope, a lot of you out there, how much we appreciate what you're doing, and that you being out there and doing this. I know you're getting paid to do it and stuff. You're not doing it for free, but even regardless of whatever that is, thank you for what you're doing out there, because you guys are there's a lot asked of you, and I don't want to say you're spread thin by any means, but there is a lot of different things to do, and just thinking about that kind of in perspective, it's really something.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think the on the other side of that is just know that we have a department full of people that love what we do.
Yeah.
So we enjoy that. You have people relishing that opportunity and being very involved in that same community we serve is a high priority of ours, and like I said, we're set to head the right direction 2020. We're loving what we do.
You mentioned earlier, Randy, about there being openings and everything. You want to touch on that just one more time before we let you go?
I can't stress enough on the Reserve Deputy Program. It is a great program. I started back in 1988 as Reserve Deputy, just off the street, got hired, and that got me to where I am today. And I'm not... Our Reserve Deputy Program, we hire an average of 20 on staff, and every year we're hiring another 10 to 12 people. I think last year was like 13. Why? Because we're giving you good tools, and they're hiring people from that program. And I think it's a great program. If you want to get into law enforcement, it's an excellent way to get a full-time job somewhere. We provide everything you need for it, so it's a great way to start your law enforcement career.
And again, if people want to look into that and everything, how can they find out more about it?
On Wood County, if you go to the Wood County website, click on departments, click the Sheriff's Department, we have a listing there of all the qualifications, how they need to apply, and also the Wood County homepage. They have employment openings, and you look in there, and you can apply right through there. And if some of that stuff confuses you a little bit, always feel free to call our department.
Randy, really appreciate that, and I appreciate you being in with us as well. And Quentin, good to see you. Didn't get to mention this. Quentin and me are from our old stomping grounds. We go from the same neighborhood and everything, so it's good to see you, man.
You too.
And really, really happy. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. And a big thank you to Wisconsin Rapids Community Media, as always, for being in with us. We'll be looking forward to talking to you guys again real soon. And for your holidays, enjoy. Hope it's safe, and you have a great holiday.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. And again, a big thank you to Sheriff Becker as well for joining us earlier.